Tiffany dumped glossy brochures across Monica's desk with theatrical flair. Recognize this beauty? 60-foot luxury yacht. David bought it for me last month. She leaned forward, designer jewelry catching the afternoon light. Said I deserved something special after dealing with all the drama from his past. Interesting choice. Monica set the brochure down carefully. Tell me, Tiffany, did David mention where he got the financing? Hi viewers, kindly tell us where you're watching from and what time it is. Warm welcome to the family. Enjoy the story. She stood in her own office watching another woman flaunt the yacht she'd bought with her own money and smiled because the game was already over. The San Francisco skyline stretched beyond floor-to-ceiling windows as Tiffany's stilettos clicked across marble floors like countdown timers. Her Hermes bag swung with each aggressive step toward Monica's mahogany desk, where yacht photos would soon scatter like fallen dominoes. Well, Tiffany announced, her voice cutting through the corporate silence. Look what the divorce settlement bought me. Monica Brooks leaned back in her executive chair, watching David's new wife stride through her office like she owned the building. The irony wasn't lost on her. Tiffany actually thought she did own something here. The entire floor went dead quiet. Assistants froze at their computers. Executives paused in doorways. Everyone knew the history. Everyone knew the pain David Whitman had caused when he left Monica for this younger, shinier model. But nobody knew what Monica knew. Tiffany dumped glossy brochures across Monica's desk with theatrical flair. Recognize this beauty? 60-foot luxury yacht. David bought it for me last month. She leaned forward, designer jewelry catching the afternoon light. Said I deserved something special after dealing with all the drama from his past. The photos spread like playing cards. Deck shots, cabin interiors, sunset cruises. Each image showed Tiffany posing in bikinis and flowing dresses, arms wrapped around David, both of them grinning at their floating paradise. Cost him nearly $2 million, Tiffany continued, her voice rising with each word. But when you're married to success, money's no object. Unlike some people who couldn't keep their man satisfied. Monica's assistant, Sarah, shifted uncomfortably near the door. The other staff members exchanged worried glances. This kind of confrontation didn't happen in professional spaces. Not at this level, not with this much money involved. Have you ever watched someone try to hurt you with something that was already yours? That moment when someone thinks they're winning, but you're 10 moves ahead in a game they don't even know they're playing? Drop a comment if you've ever been in a situation where patience paid off better than anger. Monica picked up one of the brochures, studying the yacht's gleaming white hull and polished chrome details. Beautiful vessel. She should know. She'd chosen it herself. Stunning yacht, Monica said calmly. What's her name? Ocean's Pride, Tiffany smirked. David said it reminded him of new beginnings. Fresh starts, leaving old baggage behind. Interesting choice. Monica set the brochure down carefully. Tell me, Tiffany, did David mention where he got the financing? Does it matter? Tiffany's laugh came out sharp and brittle. The man's loaded. Unlike some people, he doesn't need to pinch pennies or beg for loans. Monica's team watched from the edges of the room, confusion written on their faces. They'd seen their boss handle hostile takeovers and billion-dollar negotiations, but this felt different. Personal. Dangerous. You know what I love about yachts? Monica continued, her voice steady as glass. All that paperwork. Registration documents. Insurance policies. Ownership records. She opened her desk drawer. Everything has to be so precise. So legal. So traceable. Tiffany's confidence flickered for just a second. What are you getting at? The memories hit Monica suddenly. Nights on David's first boat years ago, when they were young and broke and dreaming of bigger things. His hands on her skin under starlight, promising forever while waves rocked them to sleep. Back when his love felt real instead of convenient. But that was before. Before Tiffany. Before the divorce. Before Monica learned that the woman everyone underestimated could build an empire while they weren't watching. Monica reached for her phone with the kind of smile that meant someone's world was about to shatter. The number she dialed would expose more than just ownership. It would reveal how thoroughly she'd orchestrated this moment. "Let me make a quick call," Monica said, finger hovering over the contact, "just to verify some details about Ocean's Pride. I'm sure you won't mind, right? After all, you're so proud of your husband's purchase." 6 months earlier, David Whitman thought he was trading up when he left his wife for a woman who collected designer bags like trophies. He had no idea he was about to lose everything that actually mattered. The Miami penthouse that once echoed with laughter now held only the sound of legal papers being signed. Outside, palm trees swayed in ocean breezes that no longer felt like freedom. They felt like endings. "You're making a mistake," Monica had whispered that final night, standing in their bedroom doorway watching David pack his suits. "I'm 45 years old," David replied without looking up. "If I don't take chances now, when will I?" Tiffany Lane wasn't just younger. She was everything Monica wasn't. Instagram-ready, party-loving, obsessed with being seen at the right restaurants with the right people. At 28, she made David feel like the successful man he'd always wanted to be. Monica had built her life around supporting David's dreams. Business dinners where she charmed investors. Charity events where she networked for his company. Quiet evenings when she reviewed contracts he was too tired to read properly. But Tiffany offered something different. Adventure. Excitement. The kind of passion that looked good in selfies and made other men jealous at the country club. "She makes me feel alive again," David had said during one of their last fights. "When's the last time you and I had fun? Real fun?" Monica couldn't answer because she'd forgotten how to be anything except useful. 20 years of marriage had turned her into David's assistant instead of his partner. Have you ever loved someone who chose flash over substance? Someone who walked away from steady love for exciting chaos? Tell me in the comments how you handled watching someone you cared about make choices that hurt them. The divorce papers arrived on a Tuesday. Monica signed them in her lawyer's office, her hands steady even as her heart broke. David got the Miami penthouse, the cars, the boat. She got the house in California and enough money to start over. What David didn't know was that Monica had been starting over for years. While he focused on impressing clients and chasing deals, Monica had quietly invested in tech startups. Small amounts at first, money from her part-time consulting work that David never paid attention to. She had a gift for spotting companies before they exploded. The divorce settlement looked generous on paper. David kept the flashy assets, the ones that impress people at parties. Monica took the boring stuff, retirement accounts, stock options, business investments David had forgotten about. "You can have the fancy toys," she told her lawyer. "I'll take the things that actually make money." 3 months after the divorce, one of Monica's early investments went public. Overnight, her net worth doubled, then tripled. By the time David married Tiffany in a ceremony that cost more than most people's houses, Monica was quietly worth more than both of them combined. But money wasn't enough. Not yet. She moved to San Francisco, bought a penthouse with views that made Miami look small, and started building something David would never understand. Not just wealth, power. Real power. The kind that didn't need to pose for photos or brag at dinner parties. As David signed the divorce papers, he missed the small smile that crossed Monica's face. She wasn't just losing a husband. She was gaining freedom to become the woman he never knew existed. The woman who would own everything he thought he'd won. While David was buying his new wife Instagram-worthy jewelry, his ex-wife was quietly buying the companies that made the jewelry stores possible. Silicon Valley's glass towers reflected ambition in every surface as Monica signed another acquisition deal. Her signature, once relegated to Christmas cards and PDA forms, now moved millions with each stroke of her Mont Blanc pen. Brooks Holdings just closed the Peterson Tech merger, her assistant announced, setting fresh coffee on Monica's desk. "That makes 12 acquisitions this quarter." Monica nodded, reviewing the quarterly reports spread before her. Real estate development, tech startups, luxury services. Her portfolio read like a who's who of American success stories. Nobody saw it coming because nobody had been looking. For 20 years, she'd been David's wife. The woman who smiled at corporate events and remembered everyone's names. The one who organized charity fundraisers and made sure David's shirts were pressed for important meetings. But behind that perfect wife mask, Monica had been watching, learning, planning. Every business dinner taught her something new. Every investor meeting showed her how deals really worked. Every charity board meeting connected her with people who could open doors David never knew existed. Mrs. Brooks, her investment advisor, called from the conference room. The yacht brokers online, too. Monica's pulse quickened. This was the call she'd been waiting for. 6 months of research had led her to Ocean's Pride, a 60-foot luxury yacht perfect for Miami waters. Beautiful enough to catch Tiffany's attention. Expensive enough to strain David's finances. Registered through enough shell companies to hide Monica's ownership until exactly the right moment. Have you ever discovered strength you didn't know you had? That moment when life forced you to become someone completely different, and you realized you'd been that person all along? Share your transformation story in the comments below. Purchase complete, the broker confirmed. Registration filed under Brooks Holdings LLC, just as you requested. The current owner can take possession next week. Perfect, Monica said. Make sure all the paperwork is pristine. Every detail matters. David would never think to trace the yacht's ownership. He'd see a beautiful boat for sale. Tiffany would fall in love with it, and he'd stretch his finances to make her happy. Just like he always did when she pouted about not having something shiny enough. Monica's phone buzzed with a text from David. Hope you're doing well in California. New boat shopping today. Tiff wants something special for her birthday. The irony was delicious. David was about to buy Monica's yacht to impress the woman who'd stolen Monica's husband. And when the moment was right, Monica would reveal exactly who owned every bolt, rope, and life preserver on that floating palace. But this wasn't about revenge. Not entirely. This was about showing the world that the quiet wife everyone ignored had become the powerful woman everyone would remember. When a tech startup she'd quietly funded went public, Monica's net worth tripled overnight. David's name never appeared in any business journal, but hers was about to dominate headlines he'd never see coming. Tiffany Lane thought marrying a millionaire meant she'd won the lottery. She didn't realize she'd actually just become a pawn in a game where she didn't even know the rules. The Brickell Avenue penthouse sparkled with chandeliers and champagne, but beneath the Instagram-perfect surface, something felt artificial, like a movie set designed to look expensive rather than feel like home. Babe, look at these yacht listings. Tiffany called from the marble kitchen island, her phone screen glowing with luxury vessels. This one has a hot tub on the upper deck. David glanced up from his laptop, stress lines deepening around his eyes. The quarterly reports weren't good. Without Monica's quiet business insights, his company was struggling to close deals that once seemed effortless. Maybe we should wait a few months, David suggested carefully. Let the business stabilize first. Tiffany's smile froze. Wait, David, I've been waiting. My friends are asking when we're getting the yacht you promised. Jessica's husband bought her one last month. Am I supposed to tell people we can't afford what other couples have? This was the conversation David dreaded. Every week brought new expenses, jewelry, vacations, parties that cost more than Monica's entire monthly budget used to be. But saying no to Tiffany meant facing the disappointment that reminded him too much of Monica's quiet sadness during their final years. At least Tiffany's demands came with passion, wild, desperate energy that made him feel wanted instead of just needed. Have you ever felt like you were performing happiness instead of living it? Like every day required you to prove something to people who'd leave if you stopped impressing them? Share your thoughts about authentic versus performed relationships. You know what bothers me most about your ex-wife? Tiffany continued, scrolling through yacht photos. She acts like she's so much better than everyone. Moving to California, starting some little business. Like she's proving something. David's jaw tightened. Monica's not proving anything. She's jealous, Tiffany interrupted. And honestly, I feel sorry for her. Imagine being replaced by someone younger, prettier, more fun. That gotta hurt. The cruelty in Tiffany's voice surprised David. Monica had never spoken about anyone with such venom, even during their worst fights. Maybe we should focus on us instead of her, David suggested. You're right. Tiffany's mood shifted instantly, her arms wrapping around his neck. We should celebrate what we have. Starting with this yacht. Look, this one's perfect. Ocean's Pride. It's calling to me. David looked at the listing. Beautiful vessel. Reasonable price for the luxury market. The kind of purchase that would make Tiffany happy for months and give them something special to enjoy together. It's a lot of money, he said weakly. You're successful. Tiffany purred, her lips finding his neck. Successful men take risks. They buy beautiful things for the women they love. As Tiffany posted her 100th luxury photo that month, David stared at his business reports showing losses Monica used to help him avoid. For the first time, he wondered what else his ex-wife had been quietly handling. But it was too late for wondering. Tiffany needed that yacht, and David needed Tiffany to need him. While her ex-husband's new wife collected handbags, Monica collected companies. And one of them was about to change everything David thought he knew about power. The boardroom overlooked San Francisco Bay as Monica reviewed acquisition targets. Her reflection in the window showed a woman transformed. Sharper, more focused, with the kind of confidence that comes from building something real rather than inheriting it. Peterson Tech merger finalized, her CFO announced. That brings our portfolio value to $800 million. $800 million. Monica let the number settle in her mind. More money than David had ever dreamed of making, built from smart investments and careful planning while he'd been focused on impressing people at cocktail parties. What about the luxury services division? Monica asked, growing faster than projected. The yacht management company, Marina Holdings, luxury insurance, all profitable within 6 months. Monica smiled. Every piece of her empire served 2 purposes, making money and creating leverage. The yacht management company handled registrations for wealthy clients. The Marina Holdings controlled docking fees. The luxury insurance company protected expensive toys, including a certain 60-foot vessel about to become the centerpiece of her personal vendetta. Mrs. Brooks, her assistant, interrupted. Your private investigator called. David Whitman signed purchase papers for Ocean's Pride yesterday. Perfect timing. Monica had spent months positioning every piece of this chess game, and David had just moved his king exactly where she needed him. Send flowers to Mrs. Whitman. Monica instructed. Congratulations on her new yacht. Make sure they're expensive. She'll post them on social media. Her team exchanged glances but said nothing. They learned not to question Monica's strategies, especially when they involve her personal life. Have you ever become someone you didn't know you could be? Someone stronger, smarter, more capable than anyone expected? Tell me about a time when you surprised yourself with your own power. Monica's phone buzzed with notifications from Tiffany's Instagram. Photo after photo of the yacht purchase celebration. Champagne toasts, marina tours, Tiffany posing on the deck like she'd conquered the world. Each photo was evidence. Documentation of ownership claims that would make the eventual revelation even more devastating. But this wasn't just about humiliation anymore. Sitting in her penthouse office, controlling companies worth hundreds of millions, Monica realized she'd built something bigger than revenge. She'd built freedom. The freedom to never depend on anyone else for security, happiness, or respect. David had taught her an important lesson when he left. The person you think you can't live without might actually be the person preventing you from becoming who you're meant to be. Her personal lawyer knocked on the office door. Ready for the final phase? Monica nodded. Schedule the office confrontation for next week. Make sure our PR team is prepared. This story will go public fast. When Monica's assistant mentioned David was looking for a yacht to impress his new wife, she didn't just smile. She picked up the phone to call her yacht broker. The game was about to begin. A game where Monica controlled every move, and her opponents didn't even know they were playing. Monica bought the yacht not for herself, but as the perfect trap, expensive enough to tempt David, beautiful enough for Tiffany to obsess over, and registered under a name that would destroy them both. The yacht gleamed white against Miami's turquoise waters as David signed papers he couldn't quite afford. Above deck, Tiffany posed for Instagram photos, never noticing the discreet Monica Brooks Holdings registration number that would soon make those photos evidence of their humiliation. This is it, babe. Tiffany squealed, her phone camera clicking nonstop. Our floating paradise. I can already see the parties we'll throw. David forced a smile while internally calculating the damage to his bank account. The down payment alone would eat through his emergency fund, and the monthly payments would strain his business cash flow for the next 5 years. But seeing Tiffany this happy felt worth the financial stress. Her joy was infectious, reminding him why he'd fallen for her energy in the first place. The previous owner took excellent care of her, the yacht broker explained, handing David the keys. All maintenance records are perfect. Registration transfers seamlessly to your name. What the broker didn't mention was the complex web of shell companies behind the sale. Monica Brooks Holdings LLC owned the yacht. Brooks Maritime Services had handled the maintenance. Brooks Insurance Group provided the coverage. Every dollar David spent would eventually flow back to his ex-wife's empire. I want to christen her properly, Tiffany announced, popping champagne on the deck. Big party next weekend. All our friends. I want everyone to see what we've accomplished. David winced at the word accomplished. He'd bought an expensive toy to keep his wife happy. Hardly an achievement worth celebrating. But Tiffany lived for these moments of public validation. Is strategic revenge justice or cruelty? When someone hurts you deeply, do you believe in getting even or getting over it? Tell me where you draw the line between protecting yourself and seeking satisfaction. Should we invite Monica? Tiffany asked with fake innocence. I mean, it might be nice for her to see how well you're doing. Show her what she lost when she couldn't keep you interested. Absolutely not, David said sharply. Monica deserves better than that kind of treatment. Tiffany's face darkened. Better than what? Seeing her ex-husband happy? David, she had 20 years to make you feel special, and she failed. I succeeded in 6 months. There's a difference between us, and it's okay to celebrate that. The cruelty in Tiffany's voice made David's stomach turn. Monica had her flaws, but she'd never spoken about anyone with such calculated meanness. Let's focus on enjoying what we have, David suggested, trying to change the subject. You're right, Tiffany agreed, her mood shifting instantly. We should document everything. The yacht, the lifestyle, the success. People need to see that leaving the wrong woman for the right woman pays off. As Tiffany posted photos of her new yacht across every social platform, Monica's phone buzzed with notifications. Every public post was more evidence for the humiliation she'd soon deliver personally. 3,000 miles away, Monica watched the posts with satisfaction. Each photo Tiffany shared was another nail in her own coffin. Proof she'd been flaunting assets that belonged to the woman she'd replaced. The trap was set. All Monica had to do was wait for pride to make Tiffany walk straight into it. Tiffany's need to prove she'd won over Monica became an obsession that would lead her straight into the most public humiliation of her life. The Miami Beach restaurant fell silent as Tiffany's voice rose above clinking glasses and ocean waves. Her friends' embarrassed faces reflected in the window as she detailed her plans to show that woman who really won. I'm tired of pretending this doesn't bother me, Tiffany announced to her lunch companions. Monica acts like she's so dignified, moving to California, starting some little business. But we all know she's bitter about losing David to someone better. Her best friend Jessica shifted uncomfortably. Maybe you should just enjoy your life instead of worrying about his ex-wife. It's not worry, Tiffany snapped. It's principle. She needs to understand that David chose me. Not just chose me, upgraded to me. And sometimes people need that spelled out clearly. The other women exchanged worried glances. They'd watched Tiffany's obsession with Monica grow from occasional comments to constant comparisons. Every social media post was designed to show off something Monica didn't have. Every purchase was justified as proof that David preferred his new life. What exactly are you planning to do? Jessica asked carefully. Tiffany pulled out her phone, scrolling through photos of Ocean's Pride. I'm going to her office, taking these yacht photos, showing her exactly what David's money bought for the woman who actually deserves him. That sounds like a terrible idea, another friend warned. Why provoke drama when you've already won? Have I won? Tiffany's voice cracked slightly, because sometimes I catch David staring at his phone, and I wonder who he's thinking about. Sometimes he gets this look when we're on the yacht, like he's remembering something or someone else. The vulnerability beneath Tiffany's aggression was suddenly visible. All the designer clothes and expensive jewelry couldn't hide her basic insecurity about whether David's love was real or just convenient. Have you ever watched someone sabotage themselves trying to prove a point? When insecurity drives people to make choices that hurt them more than help them. Share a time you've seen confidence become desperation. David loves you, Jessica said gently. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. Then why do I feel like I'm competing with a ghost? Tiffany demanded. 20 years of marriage doesn't just disappear because he signed divorce papers. Monica will always be his first real love, his business partner, the mother he never had with. She stopped herself, but the damage was done. Her friends now understood that Tiffany's obsession wasn't about victory. It was about fear. Fear that she'd never measure up to the depth of connection Monica and David had shared. Maybe that's exactly why you should leave her alone, Jessica suggested. If you're secure in your relationship, you don't need to attack the past. But Tiffany was beyond reasonable advice. The yacht photos felt like weapons, and Monica's apparent indifference felt like a challenge. In Tiffany's mind, silence meant contempt, and contempt demanded confrontation. She's going to see these photos, Tiffany declared, standing up from the restaurant table. She's going to understand that David's happier now, that he found someone who appreciates him instead of taking him for granted. Tiffany, please think about this, Jessica pleaded. Nothing good comes from picking fights with people who've moved on. But pride had already made Tiffany deaf to good advice. She could only hear the voice in her head insisting that Monica's quiet dignity was actually hidden judgment, that every day Monica didn't acknowledge Tiffany's victory was another day Tiffany hadn't truly won. When Tiffany announced she was going to Monica's office to end this once and for all, her best friend tried to stop her. But pride makes people deaf to good advice, and Monica was counting on it. Tiffany strutted into Monica's office like a conqueror entering enemy territory. She had no idea she was actually a gladiator walking into an arena where the match was already fixed. Tiffany's reflection multiplied in the elevator's mirrored walls as she ascended to Monica's executive floor. Each floor number that lit up was another step closer to a humiliation she couldn't yet imagine. The Brooks Holdings reception area screamed success. Modern art, fresh flowers, employees who moved with the quiet confidence of people working for a winner. This wasn't some small startup. This was a major operation. I'm here to see Monica Brooks, Tiffany announced to the receptionist. Personal business. The receptionist's eyebrows rose slightly. Do you have an appointment, Mrs. Whitman? Tiffany Whitman. And no, I don't need an appointment. Monica will want to see me. Word spread through the office faster than wildfire. David Whitman's new wife was here, looking for confrontation. Assistants found excuses to walk past the reception area. Executives lingered near doorways. Everyone wanted to see how this would play out. Monica's assistant appeared within minutes. Mrs. Brooks will see you now. Please follow me. The walk through the office felt like a parade. Tiffany held her head high, designer bag prominently displayed, yacht photos clutched in her manicured hands like evidence at a trial. These people needed to see that Monica's ex-husband had chosen well, that the woman they worked for might be successful, but she wasn't successful enough to keep her man interested. What's the most confident you've ever felt right before being completely wrong? That moment when you were absolutely certain you had the upper hand, only to discover you'd walked into a trap? Share your story below. Monica's office door opened to reveal a space that made Tiffany's confidence flicker for the first time. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay. Conference table that could seat 20 people. Awards and recognition plaques covering one entire wall. This wasn't the small-time operation Tiffany had imagined. Monica sat behind her desk like a queen holding court, her simple black suit somehow more intimidating than all of Tiffany's designer armor combined. Tiffany, Monica said calmly. What an unexpected pleasure. I'm sure it is, Tiffany replied, forcing her voice to stay strong. I thought it was time we had a conversation. Woman to woman. Please sit down. I'd rather stand. Tiffany moved to Monica's desk, the yacht photos already in her hands. I have something to show you. something I think you'll find very interesting. The office staff had found reasons to hover nearby. This confrontation was about to become the most talked about event in company history. Monica leaned back in her chair, completely relaxed. I'm listening. Tiffany's heart pounded, but she pushed forward. This moment had been building for months. Every Instagram post, every party photo, every display of wealth had led to this final confrontation. David and I just bought something beautiful, Tiffany began, her voice gaining strength. Something that represents our future together, our commitment, our success. She spread the yacht photos across Monica's desk like she was revealing royal flush in a high-stakes poker game. Ocean's Pride, Tiffany announced triumphantly. 60 feet of pure luxury. David said I deserve something special after everything we've been through. The office went completely silent. Even air conditioning seemed to pause as everyone waited for Monica's reaction. Monica picked up one of the photos, studying it with the same attention she'd give a quarterly report. As Tiffany spread yacht photos across Monica's desk like playing cards in a final hand, Monica's smile grew wider. The phone call that would shatter Tiffany's world was already queued up in her contacts. One phone call, 40 seconds of conversation. A lifetime of humiliation for the woman who thought she could publicly destroy someone who'd already won the war. The speakerphone's voice cut through the office silence like a blade through silk. Each word from the yacht broker was another nail in Tiffany's confidence, her designer facade crumbling with every syllable. Brooks Maritime Services, this is Captain Rodriguez. How can I help you today, Mrs. Brooks? Monica kept her eyes locked on Tiffany's face, watching realization dawn slowly like a terrible sunrise. I'm calling about Ocean's Pride, Monica said clearly. Can you confirm the current registration status? Absolutely. Beautiful vessel. Registered under Monica Brooks Holdings LLC, just as you requested. We've been managing her maintenance and documentation for 6 months now. Tiffany's face went white. The yacht photos scattered across the desk suddenly looked like evidence at a crime scene instead of trophies of victory. And the current leaseholder? Monica continued, her voice steady as glass. David Whitman. Monthly payments current. Insurance handled through Brooks Insurance Group. Marina fees managed by Brooks Maritime Holdings. Everything's running smoothly through your companies, Mrs. Brooks. The office erupted in whispers. Assistants openly stared. Executives stepped closer to hear every word of the conversation that would become company legend. Tiffany grabbed the edge of Monica's desk, her legs suddenly unsteady. This is impossible. Is there anything else you need, Mrs. Brooks? The captain asked. That's all for now. Thank you, Captain Rodriguez. Monica ended the call and leaned back in her chair, watching Tiffany process the full scope of her humiliation. You see, Tiffany, Monica said gently, I didn't just buy the yacht. I bought the marina where it's docked, the insurance company that protects it, the maintenance service that keeps it running, the financing company that approved David's loan. What's more satisfying, immediate revenge or strategic justice? When someone tries to hurt you with your own property, do you prefer quick payback or long-term planning? Tell me which approach you'd choose. Tiffany sank into the chair she'd refused earlier, her designer bag sliding off her shoulder onto the floor. You planned this. All of it. I plan to protect myself, Monica corrected. You plan to hurt me. There's a difference. The yacht photos looked pathetic now, scattered across Monica's desk like children's drawings displayed for adult approval. Every image showed Tiffany celebrating ownership of something that had never belonged to her or David. How long have you known? Tiffany whispered. Since the day David signed the purchase agreement. My company processed his application. My marina approved his docking request. My insurance division wrote his coverage policy. The office staff was openly gawking now. This wasn't just personal drama. This was a masterclass in strategic business planning. Every photo you posted on social media, Monica continued, every party you threw on that deck, every time you bragged about David's success, you were advertising my property, my companies, my investment. Tiffany's hands shook as she gathered the yacht photos, trying to retain some dignity in her defeat. Why? Why did you let us buy it if you knew this would happen? Monica's expression softened slightly. Because I wanted to see if you'd be happy with what you had, or if you'd need to use it as a weapon against me. You chose to make it a weapon. But the yacht ownership was just the beginning. As Tiffany's face drained of color, Monica pulled out a second folder that would reveal just how thoroughly she'd orchestrated this moment. Monica hadn't just bought the yacht. She'd bought the marina, the insurance company, and the financing firm, turning Tiffany's symbol of victory into a monument to her own strategic brilliance. Each document Monica placed on the desk was another domino falling in reverse. Marina lease, insurance policy, loan documentation, all bearing logos that traced back to the woman Tiffany thought she'd replaced. Brooks Maritime Holdings owns the marina where your yacht is docked, Monica explained, her voice eerily calm. Brooks Insurance Group underwrote your coverage. Brooks Financial Services approved David's loan application. Tiffany stared at the papers like they were written in a foreign language. Every signature David had proudly signed, every contract he'd celebrated, every payment he'd made, all of it had flowed directly into Monica's empire. The maintenance crew that polishes your deck every week, Brooks Marine Services. The catering company for your parties, Brooks Hospitality Group. Even the fuel you buy at the marina comes through my distribution network. The office staff had given up any pretense of working. This was the most spectacular corporate takedown any of them had ever witnessed. You've been living inside my business empire for 6 months, Monica continued, spreading more documents across her desk. Every luxury service David used to impress you, every convenience that made yacht ownership easy, I provided all of it. Tiffany's voice came out as a croak. How is this possible? Diversified holdings, Monica replied simply. While David focused on a single company, I built a network. Luxury services, maritime businesses, financial holdings, all the infrastructure that wealthy people like David depend on. What's more impressive, raw talent or strategic planning? When you see someone succeed, do you admire their natural gifts or their long-term thinking? Share which quality you respect more. The fuel bills David pays monthly? My company. The cleaning service? Mine. The security system on the yacht? Mine. The Wi-Fi network you use to post all those photos? Mine. Each revelation hit Tiffany like a physical blow. She thought she was flaunting her victory over Monica, but she'd actually been advertising Monica's business empire to thousands of social media followers. Every time you tagged the yacht's location, you were promoting my marina. Every photo of the crew, you were showcasing my employees. Every party you threw, you were demonstrating the quality of my services. Monica's assistant appeared in the doorway, holding a tablet. Mrs. Brooks, the social media analytics are ready. Perfect timing, Monica said. Tiffany, would you like to see how effective your marketing has been for my companies? The tablet screen showed graphs and charts tracking social media engagement. Tiffany's yacht post had generated millions of views, thousands of inquiries, and dozens of new customers for Brooks Holdings' various businesses. Your Instagram account became my most successful advertising platform, Monica explained. Young, wealthy women saw your lifestyle and wanted the same services. Yacht management, marina memberships, luxury insurance. All because they wanted to recreate what they saw in your photos. Tiffany's face was now completely drained of color. You used me. You used yourself, Monica corrected. I just provided the infrastructure. You chose to make your entire identity about possessing something that was never yours. The cruel irony wasn't lost on anyone in the room. Tiffany had built her social media presence around demonstrating her superiority over Monica, never realizing that every post made Monica richer and more powerful. The yacht parties you threw to show off? My catering company profited from every event. The guests you invited to impress? Several became my clients after experiencing the service quality firsthand. Monica's phone buzzed with an incoming call. David's name appeared on the screen. His timing couldn't have been more perfect or more devastating. Just as Tiffany thought the humiliation was complete, Monica's phone rang. David's name appeared on the screen, and his timing couldn't have been more perfect or more devastating. The final revelation was about to destroy not just Tiffany's pride, but the entire foundation of her marriage. David's voice on speakerphone was about to reveal the one truth that would destroy Tiffany's world completely, and it had nothing to do with money. "Monica, thank God you answered." David's voice filled the silent office. "I need to tell you something important. About the yacht. About everything." Tiffany's eyes went wide with panic. She lunged for the phone, but Monica gently moved it out of reach, her fingers still hovering over the speaker button. "David, you're on speaker," Monica said calmly. "And Tiffany's here in my office." The silence that followed lasted 3 heartbeats too long. 3 heartbeats that told everyone in the room exactly what David's reaction meant. "Tiffany's there?" "Monica, I can explain." "Explain what, David?" Tiffany's voice cracked like thin ice. "Explain why you're calling your ex-wife. Explain why you sound panicked that I'm here." Another silence. Longer this time. More damaging. Have you ever heard someone's world collapse in real time? That moment when all the lies become visible at once, and there's nowhere left to hide? Tell me about a time when truth destroyed someone's carefully built illusion. "The yacht payments are killing us," David finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. "The business is struggling without your advice, Monica. I made a mistake. A huge mistake." Tiffany grabbed the desk edge again, her designer nails digging into the mahogany surface. "What kind of mistake, David?" "The yacht was supposed to make you happy," he continued, not answering her directly. "But every payment reminds me of what I gave up. The business insights, the partnership, the stability." "You're talking about me like I'm not here," Tiffany said, her voice rising. "Because in my heart, you're not," David replied, the words hitting the office like a physical force. "You're there, but Monica is the one I call when things go wrong." Even now, the office staff exchanged stunned looks. This confession was more devastating than any business revelation. "David," Monica said gently, "why did you call today?" "Because I found out about the ownership, the companies, the way you orchestrated everything." His voice carried a mixture of admiration and regret. "It's brilliant, Monica. Strategic. Exactly the kind of long-term thinking that made our business successful." Tiffany's face twisted with a pain that went beyond humiliation. "Our business? You mean your business with her?" "No," David said quietly. "I mean our business. Monica's and mine. She was always the strategic mind behind everything. I was the face, the charm. But you can't build an empire on charm alone." "Then why did you leave her for me?" Tiffany demanded. The question hung in the air like smoke from a fire everyone could smell, but nobody wanted to acknowledge. "Because I was an idiot who confused excitement with happiness," David answered finally. "Because I thought feeling young again was more important than feeling complete." Monica's expression remained neutral, but something shifted in her eyes. This wasn't the conversation she'd planned to orchestrate. "The yacht was supposed to prove I made the right choice," David continued. "But every day on that boat, I remember our first yacht. The plans we made, the dreams we shared, the way you actually listened when I talked about business instead of just waiting for your turn to ask for something expensive." Tiffany's designer bag slipped completely off her shoulder, hitting the floor with a sound that seemed louder than it should have been. "You're saying you want her back?" Tiffany whispered. "I'm saying I never should have left." The office went dead silent. Even the city sounds outside seemed to pause as everyone processed the complete destruction of everything Tiffany thought she'd won. In that moment, Tiffany realized she'd been fighting for a man who had never really been hers. He'd just been temporarily lost. Tiffany stood frozen in Monica's office as the weight of David's confession settled over everyone like a heavy blanket. The yacht photos scattered on the desk now looked like evidence of a crime. The crime of stealing something that was never really available. "David," Monica said carefully, "you made your choice. You can't unmake it because the consequences are harder than you expected." "I know," David replied through the phone. "But I also know that building something real takes time. Years. Decades. And I threw away 20 years of real for 6 months of fake." Tiffany's voice came out strangled. "Fake? Our marriage is fake. Our marriage is performance," David answered, his honesty brutal in its clarity. Instagram posts and yacht parties and showing off for people whose opinions don't matter. When did we last have a conversation about something that actually matters? Money matters, Tiffany shot back. Success matters. Looking good matters. To who? David asked. To people we'll never see again? To followers on social media who don't know our names? Monica watched this marriage dissolve in real time, feeling something she hadn't expected: pity for Tiffany. Not because she was losing David, but because she never really had him. When have you realized you were fighting for something that was never actually yours? That moment when you discovered you'd been competing in a game where the prize was already taken? Share how you handle that truth. The business is failing without Monica's insights, David continued. The yacht payments are crushing our cash flow. And every night, I lie awake wondering what I was thinking when I gave up a partner for a trophy. A trophy? Tiffany's voice broke completely. That's how I treated you, David said. Young, beautiful, impressive to other men. But Monica was my equal, my match. Someone who made me better instead of just making me look better. The office staff had stopped pretending to work entirely. This conversation was more dramatic than any movie they'd ever seen. You know what the worst part is? David continued. I convinced myself Monica was boring. Stable. Predictable. But boring built an empire while I was distracted. Stable created wealth while I was chasing excitement. Predictable planned for our future while I was focused on impressing strangers. Monica's assistant placed a tissue box on the desk near Tiffany, who hadn't seemed to notice she was crying. The yacht Monica bought and let us purchase. It's genius, David said. Strategic. Patient. The kind of long-term thinking that builds real success. While we were posting pictures, she was building companies. David, Monica interrupted. This isn't fair to Tiffany. Nothing about this has been fair, he replied. Not to you. Not to her. Not to anyone who got caught in the middle of my midlife crisis. Tiffany wiped her eyes, smearing makeup across her cheeks. So what happens now? Now you both face the consequences of choices made in anger and pride. Monica answered. David, you have a wife who deserves better than being compared to your ex. And Tiffany, you have a husband who's apparently still in love with someone else. The phone line went quiet except for the sound of David's breathing. I don't know how to fix this, he finally said. Some things can't be fixed, Monica replied. They can only be survived. As David's confession hung in the air like poison, Tiffany realized her entire marriage had been built on a lie that she could replace someone irreplaceable. Pride had driven Tiffany to Monica's office seeking victory, but now she sat surrounded by the wreckage of everything she thought she'd won, including a marriage that had apparently been over before it began. The silence in Monica's office stretched like a wire about to snap. Tiffany sat in the chair she'd earlier refused, her perfect makeup ruined, her designer confidence shattered into pieces smaller than the yacht photos still scattered across the desk. I need to go, David said through the phone, his voice hollow. Tiffany, we need to talk when you get home. Don't, Tiffany said, her voice barely audible. Don't pretend this conversation changes anything. You made your choice when you married me. I made a lot of choices, David replied. Not all of them were right. The call ended, leaving the office in a silence that felt heavier than the city traffic below. Monica's staff slowly began returning to their work, though everyone kept glancing toward the open office door. Monica studied Tiffany's crumpled figure, seeing not the aggressive woman who'd strutted in an hour ago, but someone who'd built her entire identity around winning a prize that was never actually available. You planned this, Tiffany said finally. All of it. The yacht. The companies. Getting David a call at exactly the right moment. I plan to protect my assets, Monica replied. I didn't plan for David to have a breakdown on speakerphone. But you knew, didn't you? Tiffany looked up, her eyes red but clearer than they'd been all day. You knew he wasn't really over you. Monica considered lying, offering some comfort to soften the blow. But Tiffany deserved honesty more than kindness right now. Have you ever won something that turned out to be worthless? Fought hard for a prize that wasn't worth having? Tell me about a victory that felt like defeat once you understood what you'd actually gained. I suspected he was running from something rather than running towards something, Monica said carefully. But I hoped I was wrong. For both your sakes. Tiffany laughed, but it came out broken and bitter. You hoped you were wrong? You could have had him back any time. Why didn't you fight for him? Because you can't fight for someone who doesn't want to be fought for, Monica answered. And because I discovered something better than getting my husband back. I discovered I didn't need him back. But he wants to come back now. Wanting and deserving are different things. Tiffany slowly gathered the yacht photos, her movements careful and deliberate. Each image now looked like documentation of a lie she'd told herself about happiness and success. What happens to the yacht? She asked. You keep using it as long as David makes the payments, Monica said. But you'll know every time you step on that deck that you're standing on something I own. Something I allowed you to think you'd won. Tiffany stood up, smoothing her designer dress that no longer felt like armor. I hate you, she said quietly. I know, Monica replied. But you should save some of that hate for the situation that made us enemies instead of the woman who refused to lose everything gracefully. As Tiffany walked toward the door, she turned back one last time. Did you ever love him? More than you know, Monica said. That's why I let him go. As Tiffany left her office in ruins, Monica realized that winning completely sometimes feels surprisingly hollow, especially when victory means watching someone else's dreams shatter against the truth. The elevator doors closed behind Tiffany, leaving Monica alone with the aftermath of the most strategic revenge she'd ever orchestrated. Her staff slowly returned to normal business rhythms, but the energy in the office felt different, charged with the electricity of having witnessed something unforgettable. Monica's assistant knocked gently on the doorframe. Should I cancel your afternoon meetings? No, Monica replied, gathering the yacht photos into a neat stack. Business continues as usual. But nothing felt usual. For months, Monica had planned this moment. The phone call, the documents, the perfect revelation that would show Tiffany exactly how thoroughly she'd been outmaneuvered. The victory should have felt sweet. Instead, it tasted like ashes. Her phone buzzed with text messages from David. Apologies, explanations, requests to talk. Monica deleted each one without reading past the first line. Some bridges, once burned, should stay burned. The afternoon sun streamed through her office windows, illuminating the city she'd conquered through careful planning and strategic patience. From this height, the problems below looked small and manageable. But the view couldn't answer the question echoing in her mind. What was the point of winning a game nobody else knew they were playing? Have you ever gotten exactly what you wanted and discovered it wasn't what you needed? That moment when perfect revenge leaves you feeling empty instead of satisfied? Tell me about a time when victory felt like losing. Monica's reflection in the window showed a successful woman in an expensive office, surrounded by the empire she'd built from the ruins of her marriage. But reflections don't show the parts of victory that matter most. The quiet satisfaction of knowing you survived something that was supposed to destroy you. Her lawyer called with updates on quarterly reports. Her investment manager wanted to discuss new acquisitions. Her assistant scheduled meetings with potential partners. The empire demanded attention, and Monica gave it gladly. Work was clean, logical, predictable. Unlike emotions, business problems had solutions that actually solved things. But in the quiet moments between phone calls, she found herself thinking about David's confession. Not the part about wanting her back. That ship had sailed into waters too deep for return journeys. The part about recognizing what he'd lost only after it was gone. 20 years of marriage had taught Monica that love without respect was just expensive loneliness. David had loved her, but he'd respected Tiffany's youth more than Monica's wisdom. He'd valued Tiffany's excitement more than Monica's stability. Until excitement became exhausting and youth revealed its inexperience. Monica opened her desk drawer and pulled out a photo she kept hidden. Her and David on their first yacht, years ago when they were young and broke and dreaming of bigger things. His arms around her waist, both of them laughing at something forgotten. She studied the image for a long moment, then placed it face down in the drawer. Some memories were better kept as lessons than treasures. The yacht photos from Tiffany's visit went into the shredder, each image disappearing into thin strips that bore no resemblance to the dreams they'd once represented. Outside her window, The city hummed with the energy of people building, fighting, loving, losing, all of them playing games where the rules changed faster than anyone could learn them. Monica picked up her pen and returned to the empire that never disappointed her. 6 months later, Monica stood on her own yacht, a bigger, more beautiful vessel than Ocean's Pride, watching the sunset paint San Francisco Bay in shades of gold that money couldn't buy, but success could certainly afford. The phone call from her lawyer had come that morning. David and Tiffany were divorcing. The yacht was being repossessed due to mispayments. His business was filing for bankruptcy protection. Monica felt no satisfaction in his failure, no vindication in being right about the choices he'd made. Just the quiet sadness that comes from watching someone you once loved destroy themselves through pride and poor judgment. Her assistant approached with evening reports, but Monica waved them away. Tonight was for reflection, not business. The yacht beneath her feet belonged completely to her. No shell companies, no strategic games, no hidden ownership. Just a successful woman enjoying the rewards of patience and planning. But ownership felt different when it came without the need to prove anything to anyone. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Monica, this is Tiffany. Can we talk?" Monica stared at the message for several minutes before responding.